Good morning, Zimbabwe. Welcome once again. This is Zimbabwe Daily, your platform where we talk about everything that concerns our lives and our daily living. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and I do hope you've started your day well, as I have. All right, so let's invite other people to come on board as we want to talk on the subject that is affecting nearly the majority of the people in Zimbabwe. As you know, we have a very high unemployment rate. So, how are people surviving in this COVID-19 era? And to help me talk on that subject, I have two great men in the industry, Samuel and Mfundo Mlilo. I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Samuel, how are you?
How are you, Yvonne? Thank you for having me. My name is Samuel Wadzai. I'm the Executive Director of the Vendors Initiative for Social and Economic Transformation, VSET.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Samuel. And also, Mfundo, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Mfundo Mlilo. I'm a local government practitioner. I worked with the Residents Association, I think, for the last 10 to 15 years. So I've pretty much worked with local citizens groups at the greater part of my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on Zimbabwe Daily. We are looking at lockdown level 4 as announced by government last week, and today is day 8. So we decided to take a look at the informal sector. So Samuel Wadzai, maybe you can give us an understanding, a general overview of what it is like for the informal traders who have been affected by the level 4 lockdown.
Okay, thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, it's quite a very difficult situation that we are in as the informal sector. What the lockdown basically means that you are not able to go out and trade and work. So it means inability to put food on the table. It has affected the majority of our members. Of course, very few have been allowed to operate. As you may be aware, those that are dealing with fruit and vegetables, some markets are still operating. Mbare, Lusaka, and other markets throughout the country, but very small number have been allowed to operate. So it means we're not able to earn, we're not able to make any money, and to make matters worse, we are not getting anything in terms of assistance from the government. As you may be aware, Yvonne, when we had the initial lockdown, there were indications from the government that they were going to put together a cushioning fund for the informal sector, and this has not been implemented up to this day. So yes, this is a very difficult situation for us, and we just hope that we will be able to come up with a cushioning facility for players in the informal economy. Not only that, we have had situations where market places have been demolished, local authorities taking advantage of the lockdown to go and destroy markets. And it's a double tragedy for us as players in the informal economy. And we just hope that authorities will see sense in coming up with the policies that will support the growth of the sector post-COVID, because what we are going through is just hell. The borders have been closed. We are not even able to restock. Just yesterday, the president of South Africa announced that they are again going to shut down their border and the Bedbridge border. It means that we are not able to restock, and it's a very difficult situation for us as traders.
What does it then mean for the majority of the people if the informal traders are not able to stock, are not able to restock, as you've rightly put it, because most of us are dependent on you guys?
Yeah, it means we are going back to the situations where we have got problems in terms of for supply of basic commodities, because the market is surviving through us as the informal economy. We are bringing goods, and very cheap goods, mind you, as compared to the usual retailers. So it's again going to affect the ordinary citizen in the country, and we just hope that something is going to be done to ensure that the informal sector is also allowed to operate is also classified under the essential services, because we believe that we are providing essential services. We are not saying that everyone should be out there working, but at least a small group should be allowed to operate, and of course supported with all the necessary equipments, just like what is happening to our colleagues in the health sector, our colleagues, even lawyers. I just heard that they've just been categorized under essential service providers. So we hope that the government can quickly realize the importance of the informal economy. You just pointed out that we've got very high levels of unemployment in the country. Actually, the truth is that over 90% of the population is surviving through the informal economy one way or the other. It makes it an essential sector of the economy. So we just hope that we have policies, we have interventions that support this very critical sector during this difficult periods for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wadzai. Mfundo, as a local government expert, how important is the informal sector to our economy right now?
I mean, the fact that we are still speaking about the informal sector and its importance in the economy signifies that we have not understood the economic the economic changes that have happened in this country. The informal sector is not an important sector of the economy. It is the economy in Zimbabwe. There are over 100,000 people who come to the city center in Harare on a single day to come and to come and trade. So, and if you go into the communities, into the localities, you see many, many other people. Asian economies, many of them have survived on the informal economy. 60% of their economies survive on medium to, on small to medium enterprises. So, our own sector has remained informal trade has remained subsistence because we have not been able to recognize the sector as an important sector of the economy. This is why even the city of Harare continues to view informal traders as a field in the economy. This is why every day you see municipal police chasing informal traders out of the city center. So we have lost the debate. And this is why right now we are still continuing to speak about the importance of the informal economy, yet it is the economy. So I think that many local authorities in Zimbabwe mentally have not geared up to accept that the informal economy is the economy, that it can make a huge contribution to the local economy. And because of that, many people are suffering right now because they've been put out of business and they cannot operate. Yet we depend really on most of these on most of these traders.
Wow, that Zaria Chunga comes on board and says that they should let people work, otherwise people are dying because of hunger and not COVID. It is not right. Let the people go to work, wear mask all the time. Now, this is the call that people are calling for, that allow people to work. Now, in Kumara and Kwedu, we had Misika, where people used to sell their wares, and they were told they are not supposed to put out their we are all supposed to go to a particular spot where we can now buy our vegetables. I stay in Chitungwiza. And if you go there in the morning, the type of people, the numbers that are there are so overwhelming. Yet for most of us, we used to just get from our local spaces, the few misikas that are there, that's where we would get our wares. Now, how have we, or how has government helped to curb COVID-19 by restricting most informal traders, Samuel?
In the beginning, we should have found a way of ensuring that we categorize the informal economy as one of the essential services providers, given the fact that almost everyone, one way or the other, is surviving through the informal economy. So when we've got this blanket ban on the operations of the informal economy, we are attacking the very economy, just like what my brother Mfundo is saying. We are attacking the very economy. It doesn't make sense, to allow other other critical players in the economy to continue operating, and then in the same process, subjugate the ability of a key component of the economy to continue operating. So our view is that at least allow part of the informal economy to continue to operate. Of course, support it. We know there have been numerous donations of the PPEs to the government and even to some local authorities. This is the time to use those donations to support the operations of the informal economy, because we cannot continue like this. If we want these lockdowns to be effective, we should allow part of the informal economy to operate, because I can assure you, it will be very difficult for people to continue, in their homes, locking down in their homes when they cannot put food on the table. So we need to strike a balance.
There is need to strike a balance. It seems like our network is failing us from where Samuel is, but we'll continue to have this engagement. Now, what does it mean, Mfundo? What does it mean to, he's saying that we should open part of the informal sector. Which part of that informal sector can be opened like right now, and which part will be stopped?
So I still go back to my point that we have a legacy problem, and the legacy problem is that we have not viewed the informal sector as an important component of the economy. If we had done that, then it means that we would have registered, we would have trained, and we would have implemented some sort of regulation for the informal sector. Therefore, it will be easy to communicate with and be able to manage. If you go to other countries, you will see that the informal sector is a sector that is properly managed. In fact, the informal sector in Zimbabwe is the second largest informal sector in the whole world. There's no other country with an informal sector. I think I'm forgetting the name of the other country. Second biggest. And in Africa, we have the biggest informal sector. See, so it means that it's a very big and it's an important part of our economy. And so we should have already put steps through the Minister of Small to Medium Enterprises, through local authorities. They actually don't have departments to deal with the informal sector. So we would have been able to and be able to manage. So right now, it becomes then a mammoth task to then envision how some of these informal sector players can be allowed to operate. So the issue of categorization is very important. Who is doing what where? Because the challenge with our approach to combating COVID in this country is that it has not been scientific. So where are the hotspots, and what science is driving the decisions that we are making? Like in the past few days, our government said bodies cannot move from one city to another. What science backs that kind of a regulation? Because as we know, WHO has already indicated that a dead body does not transmit COVID, and yet we are saying body cannot move. And then a day later, the government rescinds that decision. So it means there was no scientific thinking that goes into the decisions that we are making. We don't sit down because we have had COVID in this country as a threat since March of 2019. So what policy discussions have gone in place since 2019 up to today so that it informs our interventions? This is why a week ago, myself and another informal sector organization, we approached the High Court and said the government needs to reduce the 30-day lockdown into 21 days, because their 30 days is not informed by any science. It's only informed by panic. And when we panic as a people and as a government, we can't achieve anything. The strategy is to change Zimbabwe into a military barrack as opposed to combating the disease. So the concern is public safety as opposed to public health. Is there a link between government and local authorities? We don't see that link. So as long as the local player, which is the local government, is not involved in the broader governmental strategy, then we have these gaps where the informal sector, where lawyers, where everyone feels that they've been left behind because there is no coordination within the other sectors. In fact, there is no a broader multi-stakeholder platform that brings people like Samuel, who should have been on the table to then advise government. This is where we think things should have gone. So as long as government takes this as its own initiative, as opposed to bringing a multiplicity. In fact, the state of Harare right now should have composed its own local sector that then informs policy thinking, which then feeds into the broader governmental strategy. So our major problem, really, our major threat is COVID, yes, but the biggest problem we have is a leadership crisis, that we do not provide proper leadership when these kinds of crisis comes, and therefore we are always going to continue to be having these kinds of discussions which we are not supposed to be having in the first place.
Right. And Wadzai, have you as an organization representing vendors actually come up with maybe a position paper to send to government? Because I think what Mfundo is saying really makes sense, that every decision that has been made, there's no scientific backing to it. We are just saying 21 days lockdown, 30 days lockdown, we are going to level 4, but there are no numbers, there are no figures which people are using to base those decisions. Have you taken that proactive responsibility to then come up with a position paper that then informs government on what to do and how to go about it?
Yeah, we are a learning organization. As we said, we are a learning organization, and we continue to bring these alternatives approaches to local authorities and even to the central government. And when COVID struck first during the initial lockdown, we developed a concept that was focusing on how we can take advantage of the lockdown to decentralize some of the operations of informal traders. Like if you take, for example, Harare, there is a motivation for everyone to go to Mbare, to do trade in Mbare. We are saying that we need to decentralize. Let's have pockets of markets around the city, so that we don't have everyone rushing to go to Mbare. And this is an opportunity, other than to go and demolish existing markets. It's an opportunity for local authorities to build infrastructure, proper infrastructure around the town, so that people do not rush to go to Mbare and then congest and then be found spreading the virus. So yes, we've reached out to local authorities. We've been running a lot of even awareness campaigns to our members, so that they can be allowed to continue to operate, of course, from clean domains. We've also run a campaign where we're basically visiting these markets to see if our members are operating from clean domains. We did this throughout the country, here in Harare, in Bedbridge, in Gweru, and other parts of the country. And what we found, Yvonne, to be interesting, is that traders are prepared to work from clean domains. What is just lacking is the willingness by authorities to assist traders to continue to operate. Because this idea of shutting everything down, it will not work. And like what Mfundo is saying, it's not backed by any scientific evidence. So it becomes problematic. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we continue to offer alternatives, and we continue to try as far as we can to assist even local authorities to allow traders to continue to operate. And this is something that we have been done even before we had this pandemic. We had many pronouncements, many developing many policy positions where we are suggesting a lot of interventions that will not only help in the formalization of the informal sector, but also to help government appreciate that this is the biggest, this is the economy, and we need to support its growth and development.
Right. And it's quite interesting, Mfundo, that you raise an issue that continues to play out on our political landscape, and that is the issue of leadership. And then I want to raise this issue because I think leadership has been narrowly defined as government. How can societies organize themselves to provide leadership in terms of some of the challenges that are glaring? Tiri kuzviona tiri kumaraini kwedu ndisi tiri kuziva maproblems atakagara nawo isusu. How can society be ratcheted together so that they can provide leadership in their own territories?
Yeah, you see, very often we are accused of doing blame game on government, because we are always pointing back to government. But if you listen to the speech by the president of South Africa a few days ago, you see the signs, you see the thinking, and you see the leadership that is put on the table. And so when a national government, puts up those kinds of signals, it is easier then for community organizations, for people to take leadership within their own communities. Our president is on holiday right now, and the argument is that, the acting president is able to provide leadership because technically, they call him every day and then he provides leadership. But the role of the president is not technical. It is broader than being than a technical role. It's a substantive role. So it means that he needs to be there. He needs to provide that kind of the presence. So our major issue is that right from the top, our fish is rotten. So we cannot have it's difficult to provide that kind of leadership because from the top, the government is fighting its own citizens rather than providing leadership, providing a space for community organizations like the one that Samuel is leading to be able to go there. If Samuel goes out there and holds a meeting, he can be arrested rather than provided with the resources to provide the leadership. Because I know their organizations, I worked with them for a number of years. They have membership, they have knowledge around this sector. Therefore, they're able to organize the informal economy, the informal sector in Harare and many other spaces, and ensure that their members are able to trade, within the confines of what government has put in place. There are many other organizations, for example, the resident associations, in Bulawayo, there's Pupa. All these community organizations are ready and raring to provide community leadership. But our biggest problem is that we have not had a nation-building project that allows everyone else to feel part of the country, part of the problem, and therefore part of the solution, so that we are able to move as a nation. So at the end of the day, we are then left with poking holes into the strategy of government, rather than finding space within the strategy of government to provide ideas, resources to move forward. So my call with that government must immediately come up with a broader nation-building project that allows people to feel that they are part of Zimbabwe, that allows people to feel that they are part of the economy and therefore able to make contributions. In the early 1980s, immediately after our independence, there was some beat strive towards building that project, but it fizzled out. So right now, remember in South Africa, 1994, you have the Rainbow Nation. So that was a nation-building project. So what is it that is bringing Zimbabweans together so that we're able to fight together and fight this pandemic? Because unfortunately, this pandemic doesn't choose whether you're ZANU-PF, whether you're MDC, we are a critic of government, or you support government. All of us are. So we need, as a nation, to come together through the leadership of our president, and through the leadership of local authorities, our mayors, to be able to then work together and come up with a strategy and combat it. Outside that, we are not going to have a solution that is workable because everyone is pulling from different directions.
Right, everybody is pulling from different directions, you say. Thank you so much, Zimbabweans, for coming through. Roy Antonio, you are saying that Zimbabwe should copy what South Africa is doing. Gavarege vashande, mavendas vashande. Corona might kill you, but hunger will definitely kill you. Vanhu havana mari. Our government doesn't listen to its citizens. Krish Manyanga, you say my president and my minister vanoguta ivo vakamboya here kuma locations kutarisa vanhu vacho. It's so true. Sometimes when you've got a full pantry, it's unfathomable for you to think somebody may not actually have a food. Samuel, your constituents that you are representing and the people that you're representing, what are some of the challenges that they've highlighted to be facing like right now? Communities.
Yeah, of course, Yvonne, like I've just highlighted, there is a blanket ban on the operations of the informal economy. So it means everyone who are surviving through the informal sector is expected to be at home, seated and doing nothing to earn a living. That is the biggest challenge that we have. So, of course, you have ancillary challenges like running battles that we continue to see because the majority of our members cannot cannot accept a situation where they are forced to stay at home when they are unable to put food on the table. So you have people going out trying to sell, a little bit of the stuff that they still have, and then there are those running battles, the arrests, and other issues. But let me highlight one of the most important challenge that we are facing at the moment. I think if you recall, during the initial lockdown, there were indications that there was going to be a cushioning fund to support those that are the vulnerable of our society. And the majority of these, we find them in the informal economy. To me, the biggest disappointment has been the lack of support from the government. Some of our members decided to listen to these pronouncements. And we were told that people were going to get some cash transfer so that they can continue to survive. This has not materialized, Yvonne. And to us, it's a very big betrayal on the part of the government, because as an association, we actually participated in the development of the database that the government was going to use. And we thought that this was all being done in good faith. And we participated sincerely. But up to this day, no one has been assisted. So how do we expect people to survive then? And what makes it even worse is that we were allowed to participate, and now some of our members think that we were just selling a dummy to them, and we are not living up to what we promised we would do. So it's a very disappointing situation that we are faced with. We expect the government. That is why we are calling upon the government to have a relook on our social protection systems in this country. We need to move away from the thinking that only those that are in the formal job market are the ones that deserve to be protected through the social protection schemes. We need to expand that and include the informal economy, because that's where the majority are. We need to support the majority who are surviving in the informal economy. So our social protection schemes are outdated. They are no longer in sync with the economic realities that the majority is surviving in the informal economy. Let's correct them, because the COVID-19 has exposed us as a country that we don't have systems to support the vulnerable of our society.
Right. Thank you so much, Wadzai. Before we finish off, I just want you to attend to Boniface Mchema's question. He apologizes that sorry ndaita out of main topic, but hanzi ndine mubvunzo kuti vanhu vanonzi maguma muri kuita sei navo, nekuti vari kuovercharge vatengi. Semuenzaniso ukaenda kumbare kusiya so haubvumidzwe kutaura nemuridzi wetebho, asi vakomana vanenge vari pagedhi. Sekomiti munoti nazvo. Just a quick response to that before we go to Mfundo to give us the way forward, what government needs to do. Samuel, I hope you heard me. Kwanzi na Boniface ndine mubvunzo kuna mukoma ve-informal traders avo. Though hauna kurerekera ku-lockdown, pane vanhu vanonzi maguma muri kuita sei navo, nekuti vari kuovercharge vatengi. Semuenzaniso ukaenda kumbare kusiya so haubvumidzwi kutaura nemuridzi wetebho, asi vakomana vanenge vari pagedhi. Sekomiti munoti nazvo. Sorry ndaita out of topic. We just want you to answer to this question before Mfundo closes our discussion.
Yeah, look, Yvonne, we have been, these are what we call space barons. Creature, we have been having this creature for a long time now, especially in Harare. And part of the reason why we continue to have this creature is because local authorities, in particular Harare, they don't want to correct or to put in place new bylaws that curb the proliferation of this creature. These are individuals who are corrupt, and the majority of them, they are linked to senior bureaucrats at Harare City Council. Some of them are linked to senior politicians, and they are collecting money and fleecing from the poor. we are saying we want to do away with these people because they are contributing even to the slow growth of the informal economy. Why am I saying that? They are taking money from potential revenue that can be collected by local authorities, and they are using this money to enrich themselves. And we are saying we should do away with these middle people. The contract should be between the informal trader, him or herself, and the local authority concerned. Let's remove this. They are not adding any value to local authorities. They are just corrupt individuals who should be removed from the informal sector ecosystem.
All right. Thank you so much, Wadzai. Now to you, Mfundo, Mlilo. What should be done? What is the way forward? I know you've been making a lot of insinuations throughout this discussion, but if peradventure a policymaker listens to this discussion, what would you want them to implement as of today going forward as we fight this global pandemic?
Well, I think that the government must provide leadership. What we have seen so far clearly is not leadership. President must come back from his holiday and come and provide leadership to the country. What we saw in 2019 is not in 2020 is not what we are seeing in 2021. People are dying by their numbers. Nick Mangwana has already pointed out that people are dying like like flies, which means that the country is overwhelmed by the pandemic, and the president needs his presence to be there, and to be felt, so that he can provide the direction. I think most importantly, we need to broaden consultation, because I think that a variety of the sectors of the economy have not been properly consulted. Let's broaden the consultation. I'm not sure how much local authorities are part of the national health strategy, but from what we are seeing on the ground, it seems to me that they've not been involved. If they have been involved, then there's a capacity issue within local authorities in terms of implementing that local strategy. Because if you go to townhouse right now, many local authorities, you're not going to see any action, which tells you really that our strategy is national. It's not being properly involved into the local, into the lower governmental tiers, which then involves community organizations like the one that Samuel is leading, the vendors, associations. If we brought that consultation, I think we will have a greater idea of what's happening and what can be done. And then thirdly, I think that we need to strengthen our social protection mechanisms. There are many other organizations, that are willing to give money to Zimbabwe if there's a clear framework to then move forward. Internally, we do actually have resources, because the minister has been declaring, surpluses. So we do have money in order to give and protect people that are vulnerable. And then, more importantly, we have not heard government talk about a vaccine strategy. In Sunday Mail, they said they are going to roll out within a month. But those who know science and who know how these things are done will tell you that it's important to then have a vaccine rollout within a month. So government must come up with a clear, sustainable, visible vaccine strategy, because without a vaccine, it's difficult to see how we are going to contain, because after 30 days, the government will open up. And when you open up, the virus begins to spread again, because you're not taking any measures beyond just locking people in. What's the broader strategy? It's not clear where we are going as a country. I think that beyond just giving us statistics, beyond just putting people into lockdowns, what's the broad strategy of government? What are their targets? What is it that we are trying to combat? So all these questions show you that there hasn't really been proper leadership. There hasn't really been proper scientific input into what we are doing. If we can do that, then I think we can begin to see the problem or the challenge of the pandemic subsiding.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mfundo, for coming through onto our platform.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Samuel, also for coming through from VSET to share your experiences. May God bless you. Awesome. So thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for coming through and your contributions. It was really an engaging conversation that we've had. Now, the question that remains is, after these lockdowns, what is the broader strategy? What is it that Zimbabwe intends to do? Where are we going from here? When we come out of the lockdown, will the virus be gone? Or there are more lockdowns that are coming after the hard lockdown that we currently are in. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for coming through. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and this is Zimbabwe Daily. Keep on sending in your questions, your contributions, and if you've got a subject that you feel we need to tackle on the platform, do feel free to WhatsApp me on 0774 107 682. And let's have these interactions and more conversation around the matters, the issues that matter in our society. May you mask up and keep safe, Zimbabwe. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of